Hi, I'm Jim with Washington Realty Group.
And I'm Juge. I'm the branch manager of Goldwater Bank in Lynnwood.
And we're going to talk about reverse mortgages today. And the problem with reverse mortgages as far as people outside of the industry are concerned is that they are afraid of it. They're afraid of what it does, that it's going to take the home away from them, or they have all these misconceptions. So we're going to quickly today talk about some of the positives of reverse mortgage and hopefully get people interested in looking at a reverse mortgage.
Absolutely.
So the biggest question that people have about reverse mortgage, or the biggest fear, is that they're going to lose their home. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of misinformation out there right now, Jim, and in the past reverse mortgages did have some provisions that weren't very advantageous for the homeowner. But about 5 or 6 years ago, HUD took over the program, so now it is a government-sponsored program, and they put protections in for the homeowner that alleviates many of the fears and misconceptions that people have about the product right now.
You know, I do know in the past that there were times when we would go out to homes where the person who actually got the reverse mortgage, and usually it was the husband, would have obtained the reverse mortgage without the wife on the note for whatever reason. And then the wife would literally get kicked out of the house. Does this still happen?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the protections for the spouse, even if they're not on the loan, Jim, are absolute. She can live in the house even if her husband passes away, or whatever the spouse is that passes away. The surviving spouse has full ownership rights and full right to the property until they're no longer using the property themselves.
The other big issue that comes up on reverse mortgages, and this you'll see families that are in a reverse mortgage, the house isn't maintained as well as it should be. Why do you think that happens?
Well, again, we're dealing with an aging demographic. So the typical age of the person that gets a reverse mortgage is about 72. And as you get into that age group, for various reasons, people just aren't able to keep up with the upkeep of their home. So it is important that there's communication between family members and in order to help their parents who have opted to live in their home and have gotten this product so that they can live in their home without having to make any payments, but that they also help to maintain the home and help their parents out as they go through that process of living there and aging.
So you had mentioned to me that you had a situation with somebody moving into Washington State.
Yes.
And that how they use the reverse mortgage as a benefit for them. Why don't you explain that?
Absolutely. So I think one of the most effective ways to communicate how good this product is through an effective case study. In this case, I had a client named Pauline who was retiring from government service, lived in Hawaii, and she owned a home there that she was able to get about $350,000 in equity out of, and wanted to move here and purchase something. The downside is that her government pension wasn't very much. She was only getting about $2,500 a month, which anybody that's trying to buy anything in King County or one of the surrounding counties in Washington, it's pretty hard to afford anything on that kind of a monthly income without putting a significant amount of money down. So I ran both scenarios for her, as if she was going to get a regular mortgage, forward mortgage, and a reverse. And on the forward mortgage, she would have needed to put down approximately $250,000. She would have lost over 2/3 of what her net proceeds were from the sale of that house in order to afford the payment on the property that she wanted to live in. But because she was able to get a reverse mortgage on that property, the down payment requirement, as there was no payments that needed to be made on that property, all she needed to put down was the minimum investment of about 30%. She was able to get into it for about $85,000, $90,000 down and not have any more payments for the rest of her life as long as she lives in the house, and bank that additional funds so that she could live her life in the lifestyle that she wanted to.
Now, when you said no more payments, I think one of the misconceptions of no more payments the person who lives in the house still is responsible for the taxes and insurance?
That's correct. So in her case, she was buying in a senior living community. It was a condominium. So she was responsible for condo association dues, her property taxes, and her individual homeowner's insurance. So, and those are responsibility of the homeowner, and they have to pay them themselves.
Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest benefits of the reverse mortgage is, and we talked about this before, is the fact that it is adaptable.
Yeah.
So if you have situations, most mortgages are, hey, this is a 30-year mortgage fixed, come in, this is the down payment options, and buy your house as long as it qualifies for these, specific requirements. But the reverse mortgage has more adaptability to the needs of the individual.
Absolutely.
You were mentioning, and I thought this was interesting, you were mentioning your wife's in-laws house.
My wife's parents, yes.
Your in-laws.
My in-laws.
Your in-laws, her parents. Why don't you explain how they use theirs?
You bet. So this is a situation where my in-laws, great people, getting older, both of them going through knee replacement surgery. They're living in a split-level home that was built in the late 70s. And my brother and sister-in-law are also living in the home with them. And they just didn't want to walk up and down the stairs anymore. And so they had their daylight basement, which was large enough. So what we did is we got a reverse mortgage on the home. They only owed about $100,000 on the house. So after paying off the mortgage that they had currently, they got about another $160,000 from the reverse mortgage. And we used that money to remodel their basement into an additional living unit. So they have a kitchen, and they have bathrooms and their own bedroom and a living room, and that is exactly the way they wanted it. It's all brand new inside, and they love it. And my brother and sister-in-law and their children live on the upstairs. They can provide assistance and help with the family, and my parents live downstairs, and it's a great scenario for them, and they love it.
Hey, well, I appreciate your explaining this a little bit. I hope this helps some people when they're, looking through and watch the video, that they get a little better understanding. If you are looking to get a reverse mortgage, don't hesitate. You'll see the number here on the screen for your, how to contact you.
Yep.
If you're looking to purchase a home and have thought about using a reverse mortgage, get a hold of me. So we'll talk to you soon.
Great, thank you.